My name is John Randall, and in 1979 I founded a company to market nutritional products. And at that time I didn't know I'd be doing skincare. But in 1997 we started manufacturing skincare. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over my 35 years of homework, because I actually started at the age of about 20 researching natural medicines. I'd like to go over my 35 years of homework and studying with some of the top people in the world to come up with systems that are simple, easy to use, and work for both internal rejuvenation and external rejuvenation. By internal rejuvenation, what I mean is natural medicines that can be used on a daily basis that will help to prevent aging, slow down aging, and even often can reduce what we call symptoms such as achiness and tiredness. So we can sort of cure things in a sense, but we want to prevent and we want to live to our full potential. Living to our full potential really means having the energy for what we want to do. So if we want to travel, we want to play sports, we want to be with family, maybe we want to do it all in one day, and we don't want to be tired. And often, let's face it, by the time we drive through rush hour and work, many of us feel tired, and we feel tired unnecessarily because we don't have enough nutrients. So I'm going to really focus on the internal products, the stuff we can eat that'll keep our energy level high so we can accomplish what we want to accomplish in life. Many people have asked me, John, you're in your 50s and you seem to know a lot about this stuff. How did you get started? Someone just asked me that a couple of days ago, and it really started when I was 19 years old and I was living in St. Catharines, Ontario. My parents were away. St. Catharines is right near Niagara Falls, north of Buffalo, for those people that don't know the North American geography. And I was at home, a bachelor, and I was cooking some food, an omelet or something simple, and thinking, there really has to be something to this whole diet thing, and I've never looked at it. And I wasn't really much of a student, but for some reason I decided to go to the library. I had some time, and I got 9 books on nutrition. Now back then there was only about 9 books on nutrition. Amazingly, there'd probably be 900 in the libraries now. And I scanned all those books, and I started to understand certain fundamentals of nutrition and wellness. There was a compelling urgency to it that I felt inside that I couldn't explain. I'd noticed in my teen years, 17, 18, and 19, that the average person seemed to be kind of tired. They'd kind of be going through life and not really achieving what they wanted to achieve, and they didn't seem that happy. And I was reflecting on this and I thought, something seems wrong here, and it seems like people should have the energy they want, they should be happier, and they shouldn't be struggling so much. So what I decided to do is study nutrition on my own, and I decided that I would take a step in my life that was a big step of faith to do. And I understood that if you live by faith and you have a vision and your motives are right, that you really don't have to struggle with finances. And that's easy to say if you don't have a wife and children. That came later. But I was a single guy, so I started traveling around the world, and I studied with some of the top people in the world in the health field. I took courses, and I started to teach courses. I'd take people away for weekends on what I called health retreats, and I would give them basically healthy food, and we'd have a good routine and some stretching exercises and things, and I had a lot of fun. I never made any money, but I kept debt free, met a lot of great people, and that's how I did a lot of homework. Finally, when I was 27, I was married and wanted to have a family and decided to make a business out of this. So I studied with a company in California, and I started to import aromatherapy. So in 1979 I started distributing aromatherapy, and at that time no one knew what essential oils were. So it was in Western Canada, in Vancouver, that I started this, and it was fun. Again, it was not really much money, but it was a little bit of money, which is more than I was used to. And I decided to buy a house and raise a family, and I'm proud to be the father of a son and a daughter, both at this time in their 20s. And so that's what I did. And throughout that whole period of time, which spanned between 1979 coming up into 2006 and 2007, I've been overseeing a company that distributes both to distributors, naturopathic doctors, and health food stores in Canada, the United States, and somewhat internationally, a little bit in Hong Kong and Australia. Now we're at a point where with this, some of the breakthroughs that I'll be explaining today, such as organic plant acids and some of the all-natural skincare and the hormonal products, and on the industrial side, all-natural preservative for anything, including skincare, water purification. Some of the inventions and breakthroughs I've been privileged to learn about from many of these people, we really want to see these things shared globally. And that's really what this DVD is about. I just wanted to take a few minutes and go into some of these breakthroughs so that hopefully these products can either improve your life or improve the life of your family, and possibly some of the individuals listening to this who wish to distribute the products in a small way or a large way. So I was on a mission. I wanted to help people, and with this attitude I found I've met some of the most wonderful people. One of the people I met in aromatherapy is Scilla Shepherd-Hanger. Now, she co-authored a book called The Aromatherapy Practitioner's Manual. It's a great big thick book, and I had the privilege of meeting Martin Watt as well. And they are world-class people, and Scilla Shepherd-Hanger has been here to Canada to visit me, and I've been to the United States to visit her. And it's kind of a long story, but the use of essential oils, things like lavender, I mean, you can throw some in your bath and be relaxed, but there's medicinal uses, and we use those in our skincare. So each subject, whether it's aromatherapy, homeopathy, or nutritional science, has individuals that are highly talented. They've done a lot of study over a long period of time, and I tried to have those people mentor me. One of the things that I quickly realized is that if I was going to learn about the wisdom of self-regeneration and rising to your full potential, that I would need to learn from some of the oldest systems in the world. Now, every indigenous culture knew about natural medicine, and I think that the East Indian and the Chinese cultures, they may not have known more than the other indigenous cultures. They might have, I can't comment on that, whether they knew more than the Incas but they certainly knew how to preserve the writing. In Ayurveda, which is the system of wellness and natural medicine from India, they had an oral tradition of reciting what are called sutras, which were little expressions of pure knowledge that were recorded before there was even writing. So we have, and then the writings go back thousands of years. So to make a long story short, I decided, I better really study that, because if I study that, then surely I'm going to learn some things that are still true today, and I found most things are still true today, that are true for over hundreds and hundreds of years. I've traveled around the world a lot, and when I was in the northern islands of Fiji, I was privileged to go to a place where they had always grown their food organically. They had never used any chemicals at all. And there were 450 people on the island, and I asked them, I said, has anyone here ever had cancer or arthritis or diabetes? And they just kind of smiled and said, no way, man. We don't have that stuff. I mean, it was almost as if I'd asked, had a jumbo jet ever landed on the beach? They looked at me like, well, it was just sort of, they didn't want to insult me, but it's sort of like, well, that's what you guys do in North America, And I thought, okay. Then I met a man I was proud to meet who's a Christian missionary, goes to Ethiopia, and I asked the same question. Have you ever heard of anyone who's had cancer, diabetes, or arthritis? And he said, no, they don't get that stuff. I said, well, could you do me a favor? And next time you go back, it's right in the wilderness of Ethiopia. I said, could you ask everyone there if they've ever heard of a case? He said, sure, no problem. So to this day, and he's been back 6 times, he's never heard of anyone that has heard of anyone that has those diseases. And in North America, we use a lot of chemicals. We eat a lot of chemicals. We take a lot of synthetic chemicals into our body, and I'm aware of a statistic that's quite shocking, that 1 in 20 people may die from the properly prescribed use of prescription drugs, and 1 in 3 people will get cancer, get arthritis. So what we're finding here in this continent called North America, it appears that there's a relationship between the more chemicals we use trying to solve the problem, and deaths and disability, loss of memory, loss of hair, loss of sight, loss of sexual dysfunction, and cancer and diabetes. And it seems like we're on a downward spiral. But the interesting thing is, as we're on this downward spiral of health in North America, there seems to be an attitude that we know what we're doing. And even people I know that study a little bit of wellness or take vitamin C, they're taking a lot of chemicals as soon as they get sick. So some people have said, well, we're brainwashed due to TV, and it does seem that the use of chemicals and prescription drugs certainly has gone up since the 50s when we watched a lot of TV. So unfortunately, there is a lot of bad news now. There's a lot of people that are getting sick, and there's a lot of viruses. And I saw this to some degree when I was 19 and started my studying. And one of the first books I read was by John H. Tobe, wonderful guy. He lived in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I went to visit him, and he explained how the use of chemicals was going to reduce our health over the next few decades. And I truly believe he was a visionary and his writing was right. So that's really the history. It comes from the heart, wanting to help people see their full potential be manifested. And in Ayurveda, I studied with Dr. Trivedi, who was a 7th generation Ayurveda physician. Ayurveda is the use of, what can I say, traditional East Indian remedies going back thousands of years. They use the word Ayurveda for that. So this Ayurvedic physician, Dr. Trivedi, was also a medical doctor, and he and I spent 5 days together in Salt Spring Island with some other people, a small group, and many hours alone. I had my tape recorder, and I'd say, what about arthritis, and what about this, and hours in tape recorder. And there was a Westerner who went over to India to study for 6 years, and his name was Robert Saboda. I was privileged to invite him into Vancouver, going way back. Most of his stuff was in the 80s, and he educated me as well on Ayurveda, and I took a short course with Dr. Ladd, a wonderful gentleman who lives in New Mexico, and I could spend a long time talking about my homework in Ayurveda, but it's influenced me. Also, living in Vancouver, living in Richmond, right by Vancouver, the Asian population here is almost 50%. So I have many Chinese mentors in traditional Chinese medicine. And I've studied nutrition with Dr. John Black. And I was privileged to study homeopathy with a formulator that had formulated for many of some of the major lines like Natural and Sir Royal. And he and I got together with a naturopathic physician, and an Ayurvedic physician, and we came up with some liquid sprays that have helped a lot of people. So I could go on, let's see, I've also studied with Ian White in vibrational medicine, and the author of Light Medicine of the Future regarding eyesight, and so on and so forth. That's probably enough just to give you the idea that I have in fact studied with a lot of people. So I think of myself as a note taker. These people had the wisdom, I took the notes. And as a result, today, these individuals, and the most recent mentor I have now is this retired UN scientist, Saskia Cipoletti, have helped me to be privileged to provide what we believe is some of the most outstanding solutions for improvement of health, prevention of disease, and having the energy we want to fulfill our purpose in life. Hello, my name is John Randall, and for over 35 years I've been studying natural wellness products and natural health care. And the reason why I started studying this is that I noticed most people didn't seem to have enough energy for what they wanted to do in life. And without enough optimum health or energy, how can we achieve what we really want to achieve in our life, our dreams and our goals? So I traveled around the world for many years, and I started studying actually in St. Catharines, Ontario, near Niagara Falls, with a man called John H. Tobe. And it was a number of years until I founded my own company in 1979. And then I began to distribute products throughout Canada. And now we distribute products in different parts of the world and of course the United States. What I'd like to do is just shortly summarize 3 products for internal rejuvenation and 3 products for external rejuvenation, which is our facial products. So The products I'd like to focus on, there's a family called organic plant acids, and they contain things like ascorbic acid, vitamin C, and citric acid. And they're represented by these three products. Now, these products are actually developed by a UN scientist that developed a cure for dysentery. And she developed this product, which is a hand spray. You spray it on the hands so that bacteria will be free of the hands, so that you can prevent flus and colds and viruses. And also a throat spray, which will help prevent sore throats. And a nasal spray. And the nasal spray is very good for anyone with nasal discomfort. But we're preparing this kit for distribution because if there's widespread pandemics such as avian flu, we want to be able to prevent it. And so these three products, these three sprays, the hand, nasal, and throat spray, will help prevent that. The same product, organic plant acids, would also help as an annual cleanse if we take it once a year. And that comes in a little dropper bottle like this one. And you just take drops for about 2 weeks once a year. And that'll rid us from all the negative anaerobic bacteria in the gut. We're probably aware of certain hormones, for men testosterone and women estrogen. However, there's hormones that are produced by the glands, like up here in the brain, like pituitary, that produce what's called a growth hormone. And this growth hormone is, in essence, you could say a magic bullet, because it produces other hormones that help us keep more youthful. And some people have actually had injections of growth hormone, but our company and our team of experts has developed an oral spray that contains insulin growth factor and growth hormone both. That helps keep one young. And so I like to spray this product, and I take it at night before I go to bed. And it helps keep my whole hormones youthful so I can stay young and vital. Many people have heard of selenium and chromium, some of those trace minerals. Obviously everyone's heard of tin and gold and silver. All those comprise 72 trace elements that are found in the soil. It took millions of years of sort of rotting vegetation to develop what are called humic deposits between 1 inch and 10 feet high in lake beds. And those million-year-old lake beds have been covered by soil, and those humectant deposits have to be mined and put into a liquid. And this liquid is unbelievable for rejuvenation. So I like to take this every day. It has twofold. One, it replaces all the trace elements missing in the body, and the second benefit is that it detoxifies with something called fulvic acid, very powerful heavy metal detoxifier. It's important today to have enough nutrients coming in, and we want to get the bad stuff going out. This product is both.